Cool.
Today on the Surviving the Human Experience podcast, I am excited to welcome Danielle Barth to the show. Today, we are going to be exploring a topic that is so prevalent to the human experience. We're going to be talking about maintaining individual identity during our giving chapters of life. But before we jump in, I'd like to share a little bit more about our guest. Danielle is an amazing woman with so many talents and gifts that she continues to share with this world. In her entrepreneurial world, she is the owner of Paragon Salon, which consists of several successful hair salons located in Eastern Connecticut. She is also a health and wellness coach who specializes in fitness and nutrition. You can also find her at Sessions Wellness Studio in Norwich, Connecticut, where she teaches several fitness classes from spin to strength training. You could also catch her doing some line dancing when she isn't in the gym. Additionally, she will be competing in the Women's Fitness Atlantic competition at Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut. That's April 16th through the 18th of 2026. Her love for animals runs deep as the current chairwoman and board member for Wings of Freedom Animal Rescue, which is known as WOFARE, where she tirelessly pours her energy into rescuing pups up and down the East Coast, rehabilitating them, and finding fosters and forever homes for the fur babies. Also, she's a wife, mother, daughter, and friend. Whew, I was tired just looking at all of that, Danielle.
I hear that
Yeah,
people read
so
my
welcome
Facebook.
to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yes, we have a lot to talk about today, and I think this is going to be of particular interest to our guests because this is something that applies to everybody across the board. So as we're entering, a new year, I think it's perfect timing to spend some time reflecting and finding ways to prioritize our individuality and our health and wellness. So your background, both personally and professionally, has served as building blocks and foundations of what has brought you to where you are today in your journey. I've had the opportunity to connect with you before today, so that's been exciting. And you truly are Wonder Woman. You have so much on your plate, and you continue to diversify your life through your many different adventures. So, would you like to just kind of share with our listeners anything that I may have missed along the way here so that they can get a little more acquainted with you?
Sure. So super excited to be here. So the introduction made me tired listening to it too, and I live it. But it's worth every lost hour of sleep. And I have a very exciting life, and I'm never bored. So we love all of that. My journey has been that it really originates that I have been a mom for as long as I've been a legal adult, and it's saying that out loud is kind of a wild moment, and I'm certainly not alone in that. That's a really common thing amongst many people. And so I feel like, as many others, I've been giving way more than I've been taking. And that is just a fact across the board for so many people. And so throughout parenthood, which adulthood and parenthood have had the same amount of time contributed to them, I've had to figure out who I am at the same time, because I've never been an adult and not my child's mother. I've never been an adult and not raising another human being. And so we've grown up together, truly. My daughter just turned 18. So
Wow.
I made it.
Congrats,
Made it.
woohoo!
And it's been great. And you know what? And she and we're buds. And she also comes to me for advice. So like, I did the job enthusiastically. And I also, even though I'm on the other side of that, having a minor child thing, I know who I am because I've been able to maintain that throughout her upbringing. Here we are. I'm able to talk about that
Yeah.
because we've done it.
I love it. And I love the vulnerability and the honesty. As moms, we sometimes are just supposed to suck it up and just say, we asked for it, right? We're moms. And I love that you were able to share that, you went through that process, and it was a process. It wasn't just oh my goodness, this is all, fun and games. It really takes a lot of energy and effort, and it's a huge responsibility.
Yeah, it wasn't something that I really appreciated as heavy as it was when it started, because again, what did I know? But I'm very fortunate to I've had a very supportive family. And my daughter's father is a delight to co-parent with. We're not together and haven't been since she was a year old. So we've been co-parenting together for her entire life, basically. And it's been a learning experience.
Wow. Oh, I love it. All right, so
Hmm.
let's jump into maintaining individual identity during your giving chapters of life. Love this topic. I think it's a really powerful one. It's a power-packed statement. And when you shared your vision for this discussion today, I was excited and intrigued. The topic really resonates with me as well. As someone who spent much of her life molding myself into playing the part, is what I'll call it, or whatever phrase we'd like to use, I could totally connect with this topic. So I would like for you to start by elaborating what maintaining individual identity during your given chapters of life means to you.
I will talk on the subject of being a woman, but this is it's relevant for every single human. But as a woman, we're so hardwired to give and to give up who we are and what makes us tick and what sparks our joy. And I really like to emphasize to people that maintaining your identity, the prevention of losing yourself, is so much
Mhm.
easier than picking up the pieces once that identity and that individual is gone. And
Yeah,
so
amen to that, sister. I've been
yeah.
there. I did it the hard way.
Oh, and I have done it the hard way too. I mean, there's been maybe not quite as long. I would like to think that I learned after my, to be totally transparent, I'm on my third marriage. I'm on the later half of my 30s,
Okay.
and so I've gone through a couple of starting over periods, at least a couple, maybe more. And those starting over periods, the first couple were really hard because I had
Mhm.
no idea who I was because I was so young. I
Mhm.
mean, we're talking first baby at 18, first divorce at 21.
Right.
So at 21, now I'm a single mom
Mhm.
and I started over from scratch. We're talking not even a cell phone or a car to my name. And
Wow.
so I had to open a bank account and to get a job and to move to Connecticut. And so when we say started over, I really started over. And I promised I would never let myself be in that position again. And so that's what made it so motivating to me to find what fuels my fire and to make sure that I never let either a man or a job take that from me.
Mm, I love it. Whew, powerful messages here. So, what would you say some of the biggest challenges you've experienced and have seen your clients face when it comes to this topic?
Time, money, and how difficult it is to take.
Okay.
Like I said, we're hardwired to give. That's who
Hmm.
we are as people. And givers find takers. And what I mean by that is the more you're willing and the more people see that you're willing to give to them, the more they're willing to take from you. And
Hmm.
so, therefore, if you are somebody who is very easily going to pour yourself into or something, you're somebody's going to take advantage of that.
Mm.
And finding the opportunity and the strength within yourself or
Hmm.
within the community that supports you to maintain your individual identity and to maintain your passions, even if it's as something as simple as reading your own book at night or crocheting before bed or something that is okay, my cup is a little fuller because I chose
Hmm.
this.
Right.
Those things really to do without the proper support.
Mm. That's a very fair statement. I could totally see that because everybody's stretched so thin. People are so used to living on autopilot that they get up, they do the same routine every single day. They cram every minute full, especially us type A's. We've got the checklist. We're trying to check off the to-do list, right? It's all about how much did I get done? Not the quality necessarily, but did I get everything done? So I appreciate what you just shared in that respect. Absolutely. So let's
We
talk
tend to
about
place
when.
our we tend to
No,
place
go
our value in how much we get done rather than how much we filled our cups. And if we were able to shift our mindset a little bit into what we did for ourselves in order to continue to give, we would probably be able to maintain that a little longer.
Oh, that's so true. And it's interesting because I'm a little bit older than you by a couple of years. I'm right in my mid 40s, just hitting the mid 40s. It's awful. It sounds so weird to say. But anyways, I still feel like I'm in my 20s some days. And
Look,
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to stay young. I'm trying to reverse age here. And so it's interesting because I have found with the whole giver taker conversation, those of us who were kind of in the I would even say like early 30s to mid 40s. It seems like there's a trend when I'm working with clients where there is like this huge need to give. And it's interesting because when I'm working with clients, I sometimes am able to pull that back and look at some of the limiting beliefs that were developed. So I feel like there's this generation of people who've become such intense givers because they felt like either they weren't worthy, they're not enough, they have to prove something, or they have to give something in order to receive love. I mean, it's so deep, but I'm noticing that specifically in the 30s and the 40-year-old clients that I see. I'm like, what happened? We love our parents, but what were they doing?
Yeah, that's it. And it's so generational, I find.
Mhm.
Looking at my own family, we've packed in some generations. We're on the 19-year plan. We all started about 19. My not my daughter, she's gonna skip it.
Uh-huh.
But I find that it goes kind of like overly giving to overly self-involved to overly giving to overly self-involved, and it then does tend to yo-yo. And if you know me on a personal level, you can interpret which level,
Yes.
which generation does what. But
Yeah.
it's strongly influenced by how and who we were raised by.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. So let's talk about when to start. It's so important to maintain individuality and preserve your identity throughout your entire experience. Easier said than done.
Yes.
But why should someone put energy into preserving their individual identity? Why is that so important?
Like I said a little earlier, easier to maintain and to prevent loss of who you are than it is to have to re-find it once it's completely gone. And they say, you got to hit rock bottom and then you can come back up from that. And that's true. But wouldn't it be nice to have a little soft place to land, and that soft place to land be yourself? And
Mm,
that at the end of the day, when the kids are grown and maybe you end up not in a relationship anymore for a variety of reasons, who who is there for you except more than yourself? So I think it's so important to have activities that you love to do, or some kind of routine that fills your cup. So whether that's exercise, or it's line dancing, or it's you have a really strong relationship with your nail tech and you're never giving that up, because that is what refills
that's
your
your
cup.
time.
That's right. Or you're a heavy reader, or whatever the case may be. But the sooner you start to just sit down and jot down some things, the number of times I hear from people, oh, I've always wanted to try that, when I talk about line dancing, or I've always wanted to, I wish I had time to work out. And I'm like, you could make it, not everybody. I get it. There are
Right.
some truly, truly, truly deep in the throes of raising hellish toddlers that really can make it happen. I get that. I'm by no means, shaming anybody.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, you have to find that one thing, or maybe it's five things, whatever it is. So, the solid place to start is sitting down and saying, what is something I've always wanted to try? And
Mm,
try and find it. Try and
hmm
find it in your area. Find a friend to go with you. But start today. You don't have to do the activity today, but think about what that.
Oh, wow. You said a lot of important things there, and it is interesting because I hear the same thing, and I'm guilty of it too, of saying, oh, there just isn't enough time in the day. And so that's going to kind of bring me into our next topic, which is the self-prioritization. So you have a lot on your plate. You're running, salons, you're orchestrating animal rescues, you're finding placements for the pups, you're raising children, you're being a wife, you're finding time for yourself, quite a bit to juggle, I might add. It's not uncommon for women specifically to find themselves stretched thin by life's demands. I mean, we went from, we can trace all the way back where women raised children and men went to work, and then all of a sudden women were going to work as well. And now there's work, there's raising kids, caring for home, lots of single moms, all of the things. So how do you approach self-prioritization?
I have, when I was thinking about what to talk about today, I was having a hard time identifying, do I want to talk about dogs? Do I want to talk about hair? Do I want to talk about, and I recognize that all of the things I do are what fills my cup. And
Mm,
so my version of self-prioritization is picking the things that fill my schedule that also fill my cup. So there was a time a year or two ago when I said, you know what, we're not going to pour from a full cup. Everybody else is going to get what's running over it. So
Mm,
the full cup is now the bare minimum.
okay.
And if I'm more than that, that's what I give. And so, yeah, it's
I
it's a
love
whole
that.
it's a whole thought process. So
Uh-huh.
there, dog rescue does it for me. Like I love my clients, I love my family, I love my coworkers. There's so many people that I love, but I still love dogs more. And
Mm,
just those, I won't talk about how many I have individually myself, but
uh-huh.
every single dog that I encounter, stranger, new one, whatever, it fills me. I love every second of it. There's some hard parts of rescue, but that's what comes with it. So that's how I do it, is knowing that the things that fill my day, that I'm in my schedule, also fill my cup. There are times, there are moments that they also pull from me,
Mm,
but balance on the giving versus the taking is undeniably beneficial to me.
mhm. Okay, that makes sense. So I don't know how you give the pups up. I would just be like, I want to keep them all. That's got to be the hardest part, I have
Yeah,
to say.
I'm just running out of room. Truthfully, like, I just need a bigger house. That's my solution.
Yeah. I can see you with like a whole dog farm, instead of having like the cows and the chickens, I could see you with like dogs running everywhere.
Oh yeah, it's on the vision board. It's happening.
Oh, I love it. That's perfect. Oh boy. All right. So, what would you say have been some of the tried and true tips and strategies that have worked for you? Because I know we're in the new year. Everyone's all gung ho. They've got their vision boards going, they've got their goals, they're taking on the world. And it usually works for like the first couple weeks. And
Yeah.
and I always notice that, right? You go to the gym and January and February are the worst months of the year in the gym because it is crowded. But then by March, April, May, it completely levels out. So, what
Yeah.
have been those like really, really helpful tips and tools that helped you stick to keeping yourself a priority?
I'm a big calendar user. I put
Okay.
everything on one calendar. So whether it's work or rescue or gym or kids or date night, it all goes on one centralized place. And having it right in front of me so that I'm not either double booking myself, or so that I can visually see the balance between my give time and my take time.
Okay.
First of all, when you see how much you're giving,
Mm-hmm.
banana of you, you feel a lot less guilty for taking.
Mm,
Color code it. Pick a color for all of your give items.
okay.
See that you are inundated with the amount of giving you're doing in life. And then
Mm,
when you see that tiny bit that you're going to take 20 minutes to read 3 chapters of your book every night, the guilt falls away. And so in order to maintain that, what I also have tried to do in the past, and it's helped, is when the cup is full and it's over, I will journal about it and talk about
mhm.
how wonderful I feel and how good it is. And then at the times that I'm like, I just don't have time for this anymore, it's just not a priority, I go back to those journal entries and I say, oh, I miss that girl. I miss that girl that felt those things. And so therefore it reignites the passion and it reminds me that it's important. It's beneficial.
Oh, gosh, you're saying so many amazing things here. I love it. All right, so for those listeners out there who are still sitting here struggling to figure out how are they going to incorporate self-prioritization, what's your message to them?
The sooner you start, the easier it gets. It's a muscle that has to be used and repeated,
Mm-hmm.
and it's worth it because you are worth it. Think about what you would want your children to do. If you saw your children enter into a relationship and they gave up everything that they loved for the things that their partner loves, there's nothing wrong with shared interests unless it costs you everything.
Mm,
So if you could talk to yourself the way that you can talk to your kiddo,
yeah.
that's the advice that you need to hear.
Uh-huh.
Because we wouldn't want our kids to lose who they are.
Right.
That we wouldn't want our kids to suffer through only giving and not getting anything out of it. Now,
Mm-hmm.
mind you, I understand that being a part of a relationship is in and of itself also a benefit. There's a beautiful thing to a healthy relationship. There are beautiful things to being a parent. All of those things also fill our cups. But if you're a parent, you know that those adorable loving little terrorists take so much more than they give, especially in those first few years. And so it is so important to, it makes you just not want to give up because there are so
Yeah.
many moments of parenting that are like, I can't do this. Yes, you
Uh-huh.
can. You can. You're
The
doing
sun is
it.
going to rise tomorrow and it will set on this day. Like we get to start over again every single day.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Oh
And
my gosh.
go back to those activities that fill your cup because that happy person is who your kids want to be parented by.
Mm,
That happy person is who is demonstrating to them that
hmm
someday they can also have and do it all. So
hmm
they're never going to learn that if all they see is a stressed out mom that has no joy.
Mm, so important. So, a few things came to mind as you were talking. You always hear the expression, or it's a common expression, oh, my better half, or, this person completes me. Those things stress me out when I hear that. And they stress me out because they really do, because I was that girl who always did exactly like you just shared. Oh, that's your hobby? Let me get excited about that too. Oh, that's what you like me to do? Let me go over here and mold and shape and, create that version of me that fits that role in the play. And so
Hmm.
it's fascinating because oftentimes I think a lot of people believe that you're looking for somebody to complete you, when in actuality, it's such a backwards thought process because just as you shared, when your cup is full, whatever is extra is what you give. That's where we should be. We should be filling ourselves and making sure we're fully whole. And you go into relationship where both of you are whole versus and it's okay to come to, everybody's got different life experiences. It's okay to come to life, to a relationship and have some things you're still sorting out about yourself, but you shouldn't be seeking somebody that's going to quote unquote complete you, because you should arrive complete as it is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. So that
Good.
just kind of stuck out as you were talking. I was
Ah,
thinking, yeah, that was kind
I,
of my aha moment along my life's journey thus far, is that we need to work on ourselves and pour the time and effort into ourselves so that we bring something to the relationship instead of showing up and, what do you need me to do for you? No. What can
wait.
we do for
Yeah.
each other?
I am
Yeah.
super fortunate to be married to the man that I am today. We've been married 3.5 years together for almost 9.
Beautiful.
Friends for 3.5 before that. So he
Okay.
knew what he was getting into
Yeah.
uh, well
He knew he had to
before.
make room for the dogs.
Oh, oh yeah. Well, the dogs were his idea. I just ran with
Oh,
it.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Go figure. And so I I've been in relationships with people who take and don't let me be me, and it makes me appreciate who I'm married to and how our relationship is now infinitely more than I ever think I would have
Yeah.
had I not experienced the other side of it.
Absolutely. And then I think another thing you brought up that was really awesome too is realizing which type of parent you want to be. And sometimes it's funny
Oh, we're
because I've
cutting out a little
noticed,
bit.
oh, can you hear me now?
Oh, did I lose you?
Nope,
Uh-oh.
I can hear you. I can hear you. How about now? Are you good now?
Oh, Kristen, I think I lost you.
I can hear you perfectly fine. Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Oh, almost now.
Okay. I can hear you perfectly fine. How about now? You're frozen. Okay, how about now? I can see you. I don't hear
Oh,
you.
okay, here we are.
Yay! All right, good. We're back. So it's interesting because I found that from the parenting side of the house, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling stretched too thin, your children feel that. They feel that energy. They feel that franticness, that short-sightedness. You're more snappy or less attentive. But it's interesting because some of my more productive parenting years, I'll call them my more productive ones, I was doing a lot of things and I was super busy, but it was because I was in a place where I was very happy. even though I had a lot on my plate, I made sure I was filling my cup. And so I think that's so such an interesting dynamic because there's this thought process, oh, you need to remove things from your plate or do less. That's not necessarily the case, not if it's what fuels you and feeds your fire. So, and that's exactly what you're doing. I noticed. I was like, oh, there she goes. I love it.
Yeah,
On
it's
high
great.
speed happy.
Yeah, my kids see everything that I'm doing, and I think they're learning a lot from it. I think that they uh, are going. I mean, they already are full and complete human beings, and I look forward to seeing how well they maintain that
Yeah.
going forward.
Yeah, especially, as they're growing, if you can get them through those teen years and the early adult years where they're still maintaining that individual identity, where they're not letting peer pressure or the influence of others or society really mold them and shape them and take them away from who they're meant to be, that's a total win. That's a hard one because, we're all in these different constructs and programs, whether it's through school or going to church or being in different activities. It's like you come across so many different people and there's so many outside influences. So being able to come back to yourself after going through and experiencing all of that is so huge. It's so important.
Isn't that another why, though, is if you're a single parent and you're dating and your
Yes.
kids watch you give up the things that you love to become the second half of this relationship,
Hmm.
how is it not demonstrating to the kids that they also conform to whatever friend group they fall into?
Mm,
So, therefore demonstrating who you are rather than what the influences of your friends dictate about you. It's
yes.
it's a reason to demonstrate it. It's a reason to hold strong and to be who you are rather than easily suggestible into somebody you're not.
So true. So, so very true. So, I'm going to talk about the scheduling tools. You started to talk about the calendar, so we did cover that a little bit. Were there some
Yes.
scheduling tools along the way that you found were not constructive, that really just kind of complicated things for you?
I think the tool that is when it's underutilized, it's a big
Mhm.
problem.
Okay.
It's communication.
Mm,
So it's not as much a physical tool as it is a life skill.
yeah.
But you can have a calendar on your phone until you're blue in the face, but you don't communicate with your significant other or your kids or your child care what the expectations are in order for you to maintain your life, then it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
um, so whether that means you make your calendar into a shared drive that it gets
Mm-hmm.
automatically sent to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
um, but even the communication about the reasons that you're making sure that you do this, and we're gonna talk in the future a little bit about how to handle dissenting opinions from family members.
Mm-hmm.
But the communication is what starts it, the why that we're doing this, and
Mm-hmm.
underutilizing that tool is going to cause more problems than create solutions.
Mm, that's totally fair. And I love how you shared the calendar, one calendar for everything. Because at one point thought, oh, I need to have a calendar for, my SheWise stuff. I need to have a calendar for my consulting stuff. I have the calendar for the kids. I have the calendar for, just operating the household. And I wasn't consolidating them. And I was like a maniac, like, oh my gosh, I got to go over this calendar and that calendar. And so wherever we could find ways to consolidate things and make them a little more integrated, I think is so huge because we can have the best of intentions. You can have the journal over here, you can have the calendar on the wall. I mean, I literally have just decided, let me go back to the old school calendar, right? Where you've got the one where you can flip through each day. And I do exactly like you said, things are color coded. Here's what's happening at this time, here's what's happening at that time, because having things everywhere scattered was just making me nuts. So being able to consolidate, I
Me
think, is a
not just
huge.
thinking about it. I'm like,
Oh
how?
my
How did you do?
gosh. Yeah, no, it was really insane. Well, and when you're running businesses, you've got people scheduling online. So you've got, calendars here and calendars there. And it's like,
Yeah.
where am I supposed to be?
Yes, and it's funny you say that because I actually turned online scheduling off. I don't know if it's
Mm,
like the type A control freak in me, but it was starting to stress me out. And
mm,
so if you think there's a tool that's going to help you and it causes more problems, drop it.
yes.
Don't
Yes.
use it anymore.
Yes.
There's nothing saying that you have to do it that way.
Yeah. I love that. And it's, it's become this this mold that people expect you should be able to go on, and this is how everybody else does it, so you should do it this way too. And I was running into the same problem. You'd end up with double bookings, or you have something else that comes up that day, but you forgot to go into the system and block off that time, and it just starts getting insane trying to track all of it. So I love it.
You know, the things that I think has caused like people to be so poor at prioritizing themselves is the 100% of the time accessibility to others, that you're in the middle of
Yes.
whatever you love and your phone goes off.
Hmm.
And those moments are like, why do I even bother trying to do something for myself when somebody needs me all the time? People ask me all
Yeah.
the time, why do you get up and work out? I work out at like 5 a.m. a couple days a week. And
Right.
people ask me why. I said, because nobody needs me. At 5 a.m., nobody needs me. I don't have to look at my phone halfway through a class. Now, if the only way you can work out is by also working, do it. I'd rather
Hmm.
you do it than not.
Right.
But at 5 p.m., there ain't nobody getting a haircut. I promise you. It's not happening.
Not unless you start
And so,
offering it. They'll take
no,
it.
no.
Yes, I
But
love it.
yeah, there's no, this week alone, I've lost Wi-Fi in one salon, hot water in the other salon, and heat in the third salon. And
Oh
I'm
my God.
like, this is why I work out at 5 a.m. because if I was mid-workout, I could not handle
Yeah.
navigating all of this. And so there's a time and a place for each of the things that happen, and making sure that whatever you're doing, you can wholly commit to that one thing.
Mhm.
It's going to make the quality of that one thing so much better.
Yeah, and I heard very clearly as you were talking, boundaries came to mind.
Oh
Setting
yeah.
boundaries, setting boundaries and saying, listen, this is my time. I mean, I recently started literally letting the phone go to voicemail. Normally, I'm like, oh, I got to be available. Somebody, like you said, somebody's having a crisis. Somebody needs something. I have a lot of clients that, come in for tuning sessions, and there's a lot of trauma and different things involved. And I get so overextended. And then I'm like, why
Yeah.
can't I get my stuff done? And it's because of that easy accessibility. So being able to take that time back and remind yourself that you are the one that cares about you first and foremost, and then everything else is, in addition to. It's a backwards way of thinking. A lot of times, I think, especially as a woman, we start feeling selfish, like, oh my gosh, how could I possibly be spending this much time on myself? But at the same point, nobody's going to take care of you except for you. So you have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to do it. All right, so let's jump into navigating resistance from spouses and family, friends, all of the things. I know you're excited. This is going to be a fun one.
My
This is
favorite
the
part.
part where you don't tell your friends and family to listen to the episode. No, just kidding. Just
No,
kidding.
they know me well enough to know by now.
Yeah.
Um,
So this is a
yeah,
tough one, right? Because family and friends, coworkers, they mean well. It's not that, for the majority of people, they're not out here having thoughts and opinions that are supposed to be hurting us. And a few weeks ago, I was in church and I was listening to the priest talk, and he was sharing the importance of allowing others to experience their journey. And it was such an interesting conversation because I was like, wow, how many times have we gone through life and either a parent inserts themselves and tells you, no, you need to be doing it this way, or a friend or somebody else, and it could potentially take you off your journey and to somewhere else. Now, mind you, there's accountability. We're all accountable for our actions. Get it, got it, good. However, there's a lot of opinionated people will come across in life that do try to steer us in the wrong directions, not intentionally. Sometimes it's unintentional. So what would you say to someone who's navigating resistance from loved ones, friends, family that has that span of influence in their life?
so I think my initial reaction to that is, who are these people to you, and how much does their opinion matter or affect you? And is it more important than your opinion of yourself?
Mm,
So my so let's like narrow it down a little bit just to like be specific. So let's talk about maybe like spouses
sure.
or teenage children, all
Uh-huh.
of which benefit very closely to your availability, right?
Yes.
Like, hey,
Yes.
so and so just invited me over. Can you drop me off at their house? And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Or spouses for a million reasons. So men in general are, as we all know, very visual people. And what I've done in the past is get like a planner, like a day
Mhm.
planner, and I write out my whole day. And on the right next to that, I will write out my spouse's entire day.
Okay.
And then comes the color coding time. I like to
Mm,
do this for a week at a time personally, like to have a week snapshot of what everybody does. I would consider that work is a giving part of your life, not a taking part. It is contributing to the household. I would say that, you know, whether you're staying at home with the kids full time or even if it's your turn to do dinner, that's a giving time.
hmm
I like to put every single one of those things. So mom gets up and makes lunches, goes to work, comes home, makes dinner, puts the kids to bed. All of those things are full giving.
hmm
Okay. Dad gets up, goes to work, all giving, but comes home, benefits from the made meal, doesn't clean up afterwards, and doesn't have to put the kids to bed. What are you
mm,
doing? Whether it's, you know, whatever he's doing,
right.
video games or whatever, it's a taking time,
hmm
right?
hmm
I like to identify all of those givings versus takings for everybody and
Okay.
visually point out who's taking more than the other.
Mm,
If you can demonstrate that you are indeed, which I know you are, if you're having a hard time taking, it's because you're giving too much. You know,
right.
hot take, friend.
Yes.
So therefore, when your uh, spouse who's being dissonant on the subject
Mhm.
visually sees how much more you're giving, what can they say except for, okay, I support you?
Yeah.
Um, you know, and ease into it. I wouldn't, your first version of taking is a week-long retreat in the mountains with your girlfriends. That might
Mm.
not be it. That might be a soft landing. However, if it's every other night, what I really need is for you to bathe the kids.
Mm.
What I need for you every third night is to take on dinner. Um, and what you do during that time is totally up to you. Hey, I have a fitness class I want to take. This is your turn to do dinner. Or in the morning, can you make breakfast so that I can hit the gym before work? Work it
hmm
out so that everybody wins. A lot of times, the dissenting opinions are fear based
Mm.
because
Okay.
somebody taking for themselves is taking away from them.
Mm.
So obviously that's more pertinent to spouses and kids, obviously, but you know, say that you have the parents that raised us that weren't raised this way,
hmm
really concerned about, well, you're a mom, you're supposed to just be a mom.
Right.
Yeah, but let's have an open conversation about what that did for you as a mom when our parents I'll talk about a little something on a personal level, you know, because I think that's important to just not talk about things in theory, but in reality.
Sure. Sure.
Um, love my mom to pieces. She also had me super young. She also was a really young empty nester. She had a very hard time with that, and I don't blame her. It's a very hard thing.
Yeah.
And because uh, so much of her life was given and her time was given to both kids and spouse,
Mhm.
who she was lost.
Mm.
Um, and she had chapters of taking during our
hmm
upbringing, but at the time that my brother and I, the hardest part was that I moved out because I had a daughter, and my brother moved out because he joined the military. So she
Mm.
got all at once with an
Yes.
empty nest.
Yes.
And so therefore, if, which she doesn't, my mom doesn't give me crap about all the things that I do because she knows it
Right.
fills me up. But
Right.
if she ever came to me and said, don't you think you're a little selfish, Danielle? My response would be no, because this is what I'm preventing.
hmm
This is what I'm working on not doing.
Yes.
And talking about it in both facts and feelings is important, and approaching it from a soft place of I will you will be better because I will be better.
Mm. I love that. And I think it's so important to share those messages because oftentimes we find, especially, moms, there's expectations, right? Dad gets to kind of go do his thing and do things with the guys. And moms often feel, and I hear it time and time again, they feel guilty if they're not with their kids. Like, oh my goodness, how dare I go and, I don't know, go to the wine tasting with friends or go to paint night or go to the gym and work out. And it's like, it's awful because if you're taking that time for yourself, but the whole time that you're doing that, you're worried about what's happening at home and is it okay? Should you have been here? Should you have been there? what a nightmare because you're still not getting the benefit of caring for yourself. But if you just take those moments to just really say, you know what, I need this. This is my time. Forget what everybody else thinks and says, because nobody else is walking in your shoes. They're not living your life. They're not they're not in your household and they're not jumping in your bed with you. And even if they are, even if it's your spouse, they're still not in your body. They're not walking the same journey. You can walk together through a journey, but you have your own unique individual purpose and journey, and you need to make sure that you're fulfilling that while you're here. And in addition, you get to spend that time with friends, family, loved ones, all the things. So,
I think that there needs to be like a little proportion to, how much we expect from our kids too. So meaning like from the ages of say like what birth to 5 or so, they need us pretty much 100%. 5 to say 10, like that middle school time, they don't need us quite as much. And we as moms, because we're so used to giving that 100%, we have a hard time making them do things for themselves. Now we have these middle schoolers and these high schoolers that don't make their own lunch for school because, well, mom can do it. Sure, I can, but who's going to do
yes,
it when you move out?
right.
And so, therefore, we put all this pressure on ourselves to keep doing these things to maintain. But our job as moms is to raise adult humans,
Yes.
fully functioning, contributing to society, adult humans. And that
Hmm.
doesn't start on a kid's 18th birthday.
No, it
And
doesn't.
so when we're giving 25% less to our kids because they can take on 25% more, at least give yourself some of that 25% back.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
gonna you're not going to raise a child to be 18 and then say, "Good luck, have fun." It's a gradual process. And so therefore when the time comes away from the kids, it should come back to you in some proportion.
Yeah. And
You know,
some of this is self-imposed expectations, right? Just hearing you say that, I can remember my son as he's moving out. Mind you, they all got to see cooking. They understood cooking. They understood
yes,
how to use the stove, where the fridge was, where the grocery store was located. So my son
yeah,
moves out. He's like, "Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do?" He's like, "My roommate doesn't cook." I'm like, "Dude, DoorDash is not the answer. You can
no,
do this. You watched all these years." And I thought, wow, I was so focused on thinking my job was always to make sure homework got done, dinner was cooked, everybody had what they needed. Do you need soap, shampoo, whatever? And I would just do. I was in such a doing mode because it was just, I don't know, it becomes like an autopilot thing. And then you feel like, well, that's my job. And then you wake up and you're like, holy crap, did I just cripple these humans? Because I just got so used to doing these things. So it's been an interesting transition. It's been kind of humorous to watch. And I'm
yeah,
like, "Ooh, if I could do this again, I'd probably change a few things here and there." But it's like a conditioned response, I think, too, sometimes to feel like we're supposed to do all these things. And if we fall short of it, and again, it becomes a self-imposed inflicted wound. Yeah.
societal conditioning is no joke. I mean, we're surrounded by it.
Yes.
And just to add how to continue to navigate this with friends and family, but especially especially your household. When your household is giving you any kind of flack for taking, I encourage you to add a third color onto your schedule, and that's
Okay.
the bonding color. It's the one that everybody benefits together. So it's not anybody's take, it's not anybody's give, but everybody contributes together. So whether that is date night with your spouse or family game night, and being able to show that everybody is important in this equation, it does tend to take a little bit of the fear away from it,
Okay.
because now you're pulling away from contributing to the kids day to day, right? And you're giving
Mm-hmm.
some to yourself, but you're also giving some to your spouse, because we
Mm-hmm.
know those early years of being married with little kids is really hard.
Yeah.
But once it gets a little lighter, refill that marital cup. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you're contributing to the person that you decided to have children with. You picked this.
Mm-hmm.
And if the person is still indeed somebody you want to be with, you have to feed that.
Mm-hmm.
It has to have some kind of nutrients to grow. We all do.
Yes.
So do
Yes.
relationships. And so if you can take and give it to yourself and you can also give to everybody else, you guys
Mm-hmm.
can both equally contribute to something together.
Mm. I love that. And it's so important to point out that fact that a relationship does require effort on all fronts, whether it's, with your spouse, whether it's with your children, whether it's with your parents, your friends, making sure that you're showing up and giving the appropriate amount of attention, but also having your boundaries and everybody respecting those boundaries too. Because if you're, let's just say people are listening to this episode, they're like, well, I am going to self prioritize. Today is the day. Now you're going to have a whole bunch of humans around you that have close proximity that we're used to a certain version of you. And
Yeah.
as you're transitioning or you're taking back some of that power and you're redefining what you want your space to look like and what you want out of your life, it can shock people sometimes. They're like, who the heck are you? Where'd my mom go? Where'd my spouse go? Right? Because people are used to, it's the old saying, be careful what you get people used to. And then you're just
You teach
changing
them
up
how
on
to do.
them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's think about also the aspect of if you don't self prioritize and now your entire calendar looks like giving and bonding.
Mm,
Now bonding has become giving as well, right?
yes.
So like in an intimate relationship with your spouse,
Hmm.
your cup is not full, yet therefore you're expected to pour from it. And
Hmm.
it makes it very difficult to not create a level of resentment,
Hmm.
especially when your spouse has a lot more of that taking color on their schedule.
Yes.
Uh, that makes it very difficult. So
Yes.
it's additional reason to do it because you're going to be more enthusiastic in your relationship.
Mhm. Agreed. And you have something to offer. You're
Yes.
coming with something, you're coming with conversation. I mean, I've done the relationships where you become the identity of what the person wants, and then you're boring. You
Or
end up being boring. And by the end of the relationship, you don't know who you are.
yeah,
They're bored because you decided one day, okay, I'm not gonna, keep doing what you want me to do. So now they're like, well, I need to go get a new shiny little toy because I need one that's gonna do what I need. And so you walk away from that space, and then you're literally looking at your life, going, who am I? And picking up those pieces, and then trying to figure out, okay, how do I find myself? So I agree. If you can self prioritize early, nip this in the bud, make sure
yeah,
you always maintain your identity, it is a much easier thing to navigate than if you have to do it backwards. Yeah.
definitely.
Whew. Well, we are coming up to a close on this episode. I feel like we could go on for hours and hours. This is such a deep topic. But before we go, I just want to give you an opportunity to share. If you had one message you could share with our listeners about today's topic, what would it be?
It would be to early intervention, start today, even small, and that it's also never too late. You There's no age in this life that you can't put yourself back on the list,
Mm,
and there's no, you can never not do this.
hmm.
It's not it's so important even at 10 to 110. You
Mm.
matter at every single age.
Love it. Great stuff there. All right, Danielle, please share with our listeners where can they find you if they want to get in touch with you to learn more about your services with the salon, or if they want to find out about, a puppy helping out foster, if they just want to connect for health and wellness coaching. You've got a lot to offer. Where do they find you?
My contact information can mainly be found on paragonsalon.com. We are about to launch a new website very soon. So if you log on today and then you see the new one next week, you got to experience the whole thing. And for more information on dog rescue, wingsofreedomanimalrescue.org. Um, and if you're in the area, we're in southeastern Connecticut and want to join me for a workout, that is Sessions Wellness Studio.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you again for being on the show today. I appreciate you and all you've shared with our listeners. And for our listeners, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Surviving the Human Experience podcast. And until next time, be well and stay blessed.